Call the meeting to order. Roll call, Terry, please.
Burns,
Yes.
Chartrand,
Here.
King,
Here.
Bowser,
Here.
LaChose,
Here.
Lehman,
Here.
Maurahan. Here. Bowser is excused. Osborne,
Here.
Dahlhoff.
Here. Please stand for the invocation and the pledge. We meet to serve our community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly, to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognize our responsibility for the past and the future, and the rights and needs of both individuals and community. We are meeting today to conduct matters of business, guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought and speech, so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Turn to the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The December 4th minutes have been distributed and stand approved unless someone would like to make a correction. Report of the Rules and Legislation Committee for Rule 6. Terry.
The Rules and Legislation Committee has met, and we recommend to waive the rules to act upon late resolutions this morning.
The motion by Tom, second by Randy. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carries. Now we'll do the oath of office administered by Linda Hoskins, the county clerk, for Tom Osborne.
The other right. I, Tom Osborne,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office as legislator
in the county of Lewis
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Congratulations, Tom. We'll move on to proclamations to Randy Essenor and Gary Church.
Whereas Randy Essenor was initially appointed a member of the Lewis County General Hospital Board of Managers on March 1, 1999, and has continuously served in that capacity for a period that spanned nearly 20 years through December 31 of 2018. Whereas Randy was chosen by his colleagues and assumed the role of chairman of the Board of Managers during 2003, 2004, and 2005, lending his knowledgeable leadership and guidance toward facility-wide expansion and progressive computerization upgrades. And whereas during his tenure, the facility completed substantial building efficiency upgrades as well as the addition of a dialysis unit. Whereas the entire citizenry of Lewis County remain the benefactors of his commitment to improve not only the bricks and mortar facility, but recruitment of high caliber medical providers. And we wish to express our gratitude and recognize Randy Essenor for his efforts and participation in our collective and tireless pursuits to retain the Lewis County General Hospital as a viable and thriving healthcare facility. Now therefore, I, Lawrence Dahlhoff, as chairman and on behalf of the Lewis County Board of Legislators, do hereby record our appreciation and enduring respect for the conscientious efforts rendered by Randy Essenor.
Thank you, Randy, for everything you've done.
Thanks so much. I appreciate this very much. much. But I'd like to take the opportunity to thank this board for endorsing me these years, giving me the opportunity to serve. It's been rewarding to me. It's time for me to leave. And I feel comfortable leaving now, though. I think the hospital's in pretty good shape right now. We have a great CEO and administrative staff. We've got a strong medical board. We have great hospital staff, and we've got some very competent members of the board of managers, which people had a voice in that, and I appreciate how we get along. These past several years, we've gotten along real well, which is what it should be, rolling together. So thanks for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It takes a lot of effort, time and effort and devotion to do what you have done for the community, and we as the Board of Legislators in this case
Thank you.
appreciate the years that you put into that effort. So thank you.
Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
And we have the proclamation to commend Gary Turk. Whereas Gary was appointed a member of the Lewis County General Hospital Board of Managers on March 23, 2011, continuously serving in that capacity for a period of over 7 years through June 30, 2018, for the mission of achieving the highest level of health and wellness. Whereas Gary was chosen by his colleagues and assumed the role of Vice Chairman of the Board of Managers during 2013, 2014, and 2015, and 16, lending his knowledgeable input and participation that aptly served to guide the overall facility through progressive upgrades. During his tenure, the facility completed substantial building efficiency upgrades, as well as the addition of a dialysis unit. The entire citizenry of Lewis County remain the benefactors of his commitment to improve the physical plant as well as recruitment of quality medical providers. We wish to express our gratitude and recognize Gary Turk for his efforts and participation in our collective and tireless pursuit to retain the Lewis County General Hospital as a viable and thriving healthcare facility. Now therefore, I, Lawrence Dahlhoff, as Chairman and on behalf of the Lewis County Board of Legislators, do hereby record our appreciation and enduring respect for the conscientious efforts rendered by Gary Turk.
Thank you. I'll make sure. Thank you. I'm standing in for Gary today. He's the chairperson of the DANK board, and they are meeting as we speak. So we're having a brief reception before tonight's board meeting, where I'll be able to bring this forward to Gary. So on his behalf, thank you. Thank you.
At this point, we'll open the public hearing for comments on local law, intro number 7-2018, entitled "The Local Law Requiring Building Permits for All Commercial Wind and Energy Conversion Systems," and for comments on the proposed shared services plan between the county and the towns and the villages. So first, is there anyone here that would like to comment on the building permit for wind farm law? If not, is there anyone here that would like to comment on the proposed shared services plan between the county and the towns and the villages? If not, we'll leave the public hearing open in case someone shows up for that, and move on to privilege of the floor. Is there anyone here that would like privilege of the floor for any comments or issues? If not, we'll move on to presentation of communications and notices. Gary?
The Schoharie County Legislature forwarded a copy of their written request to New York State DEC Commissioner Basil Sagos for the state to intervene in the recycling crisis caused by China and the new standards that have caused skyrocketing disposal costs for recycled materials. Also, the Niagara County Legislature informed of their newly enacted Niagara County pawn law, the uniform licensing and tracking of tangible personal property acquired by pawnbrokers and secondhand dealers to facilitate recovery of stolen property. And that concludes.
Thank you. Reports of county officers and departments.
We have James Richmeyer's November Sealer of Weights and Measures Activity Report that has been placed on file in my office. And that concludes.
Thank you. Reports of standing committees. John, would you like to start with Social Services, Office for the Aging, and Youth Bureau?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll start with the Office of the Aging. Donations this year are going to exceed over $100,000. That's up from $80,000 last year. And that just kind of tells you what kind of people we have in Lewis County. I think that's fantastic. DSS, we have 745 HEAP applications so far. We have 24 SNAP applications. And we have 13 children in foster care as of 12/10. And let me see here. We have 12 people housed under the Shelter Homeless Act, and 2 of them are under the age of 10. And the Lewis County Sheriff's Department has informed us that they will no longer assist in transport due to staffing constraints. And that's our report. I have 2 resolutions, sir.
Okay.
Motion to authorize DSS Commissioner Jennifer Jones to fill 1 full-time senior accountant clerk position effective 2/4/2019 due to impending retirement.
Moved by John, second by Dick. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And my second resolution is motion to authorize Commissioner Jones to fill a full-time social service program examiner effective 2/4/2019 due to impending retirement.
Moved by John, second by Greg. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Any questions for John? Thank you, John. Randy, Taxation, Elections, Information Technology.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing of significance to report today.
Thank you, Randy. Brian is not here. Is anyone covering that report? If not, we'll move on to Jerry, Ways and Means, Buildings and Grounds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Buildings and Grounds had 111 work orders for this month. We're progressing along and retrofitting the lights, and hopefully it'll be close to done at the end of the year. And under the radio system, we still got a little bit of tower work on us and stuff like that needs to be done. And the patch system, they're waiting on equipment, will probably be in after the first year. After that, we have everything up and running. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Let's see if there's any questions.
Any questions? Thank you, Jerry. Moving to Tom, Public Health and Community Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All I've got this time around is I've got a motion to authorize Public Health Director Penny Needham to refill a full-time public health specialist position.
Moved by Tom, second by John. Discussion.
Somebody's leaving again?
I think that's what it's for.
Yes.
Hold on, it's not a refill, this is the position that was created in the 2019 budget.
Okay.
So
This is the one for the $100,000 to get that grant.
Yes.
Okay, and that sunsets with that grant if that grant goes away?
No, this is part of the public health staffing plan that was established in 2015. They're eliminating an account clerk position and replacing it essentially with a public health specialist.
Okay, thank you. Good.
Any further? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
And that's all my report, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Any questions for Tom? If not, we'll move on to Ron, Economic Development, Planning, Forestry, and Parks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing new to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Greg, Courts and Law Enforcement and Emergency Management.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The only thing I have for today is a motion to authorize Senior Code Enforcement Officer Ward Daly to refill a full-time code enforcement officer position effective 12/28/2018 due to pending.
Moved by Greg, second by Ron. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
That's all I have.
Any questions for Greg? Thank you, Greg. Dick, hospital.
Okay, our meeting is actually tonight, but I would like to read the employee of the month for November's notice. I do have that. The staff member has gone above and beyond for the residents of the healthcare system. She's caring, considerate to not only the residents but families as well. She takes notice that this is their home and that we just work in it. The performance as an employee goes above and beyond the standards of care. She's been an excellent role model for her peers that she is training. She's offered to go to other units to help make the unit run more efficiently and make sure that exceptional care is provided. The staff member volunteered to take on a new training program to increase the patient-centered care. The residents of this facility are her #1 priority, and the initiative she has taken does not go unnoticed. So if you see Karen Shaw, licensed practical nurse, congratulate her on her appointment. That's all I have, barring any questions.
Any questions for Dick? Thank you, Dick. And then Andrea, transportation and solid waste.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have 3 motions. One, motion to award bids to Gillies and Runtag companies for bulk oil and supplies for Highway Department for year 2019 in accordance with the tabulated list of bidders and respective line item low prices on file with the clerk of the board.
Moved by Andrea, second by Jerry. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
I also have a motion to authorize solid waste director Pete Wood to refill a full-time grade 18 MEO medium position due to an impending retirement and to refill a part-time MEO medium position.
Moved by Andrea, second by Ron. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
I also have a motion to amend the Schedule 5 of the 2019 county budget to abolish principal account clerk and create a physical manager in the highway department at the salary as approved in the budget deliberation of $53,060.
Moved by Andrea, second by John. Discussion.
What management position is that?
We did this before, but it didn't come to the floor.
We missed, Jerry, we put it in the budget, but we missed it in the Schedule 5, the promotion of the senior account clerk.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And also, we discussed our fuel tank situation at the county
Hold
highway.
on just a second.
Oh.
Okay.
Need to vote.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Sorry. And thank you. Also, we discussed our fuel tank situation yesterday, and there's a little bit in the minutes. You might want to read it, so you're up to date. And I think that's all I have. Thank you. Any questions?
Questions?
No, we've been discussing that too, as far as ways and means and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you.
And we feel we have to make something happen down there.
Yep. And within the next 3 years, or 3 years?
Probably sooner than that.
Maybe. Yep.
Yeah, our tanks are at their age
They're
limit,
at
3 more
almost at
years.
their limit.
And, the EPA come in and tested them. They have a new rule in fact, and there ain't one tank in the whole United States that's passed in ours either. So we have to have them come in. They got to change valving on it and epoxy all the tanks.
Yep.
But the gentleman said they're at you're pushing that boat right now.
Do they have to do that now, you mean?
Within
Yep.
the next 3 years.
Oh, within
well,
the
they
next
gotta
3
Within-
years?
yeah.
Epoxy tank?
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
I think we're better off replacing them rather than do any more work to that. You can't even get parts for the pumps. You have to buy used parts.
Well, that's what we're looking at. Warren is
Yeah.
getting estimates
Warren, you
on.
wanna comment on that?
Yeah, the pumps have been upgraded. We did that here in the past couple of years, so everything that we were doing would be lost. So those pumps can be used and whatnot, all the human factors of it. But what's going on is the EPA's passed new rulings on the sumps. They have passed new hydrostatic testing, and just about everybody out there that's got sump pumps aren't passing this test. So what's gotta be done is there is a ball valve that's gotta be changed in each sump, along with, the sump's gotta be sealed off. And then after that's done, it's gotta be checked every 3 years. So if we do this now, it's a $10,000 charge to get the sump done. There's 4 sumps that have to be done, 2 on the tank and 1 on each pump. And then we'll be good for 3 years. And then at that point, we're looking at another $150,000 to upgrade to an above ground tank system. So that's what we've got certain things that we can do to help that along, boring a concrete slab, doing some of the connections. And if we do some of that, it's gonna save some money, but to go to the above ground system, I think is the next probably the best thing to do.
With everything else you have going, I mean, we've done a study on that and laid stuff out. I mean, do you really know exactly where the tanks are gonna end up? Are we that far along in that study?
As far as where we're gonna place them, you mean?
Yeah, are they gonna be in the same spot? They gonna have to be moved to accommodate the rest of the stuff?
It could be moved. The tank itself will probably definitely move from where it is right now. The buried tank's gonna be pulled, and it won't go back right where that site is. It'll be probably closer to the road, closer to the tanks. Either that, or if we do decide to move it, it'll probably go to the north side of the parking lot.
Yeah, but you got in that plans that they're, well, starting out for that complex down there.
Oh, yeah.
There's buildings all over the place, so
Right.
essentially, you need to know what you're gonna build in the future and where the final resting is for those tanks,
Yeah,
right?
we have looked at the footprint for the future going down the road
Okay,
for a garage, and then also in that footprint, we're placing the fuel system in this place where there won't be a hindrance to the new structure.
for the future.
For the future, yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Looking forward to that.
But Warren, you were saying there's gonna be $10,000 to seal off those, that a piece or
No,
all
that's
4?
for all 4.
All 4.
Yep. And bring it up to the EPA standard and get it passed.
Yeah,
But still,
but it's still,
How do you hydrostatically test concrete?
It's the hole itself. I really don't know how the process goes, how they actually do the hydrostatic testing of it. How they seal it somehow and input pressure, and it didn't pass that pressure test anyway. Apparently there's some seepage there that could either diesel fuel seep out or water seep in. So they epoxy that whole thing when they get done changing the valve that they have to change. That whole sump gets epoxy with the seal, so it's sealed off.
They'll wind up on the secondary, it's all set, it's all part of the secondary containment, so you don't have any releases, so what they'll do is they'll put a small amount of pressure on that entire system, and the secondary piping as well as the sumps, because the secondary piping comes back to the sumps. So that whole system will wind up with a small amount of pressure on it, and hold that pressure on for X hours, that'll be the process.
that's gotta be done within a year, right, Warren?
Yeah, it's been tested, and it failed, and part of the EPA new process, so probably within the next 30 months, we're gonna see a letter from the DEC that we didn't pass this new law, and then there'll be like a 30-day
Less than a year.
time to
Less
get
than
it fixed, but,
Kick the
he
can a
said
little
he's
too long.
working on
and
somebody
it'll
right
take
now
$10,000
that everyone out there isn't passing this EPA standard, so it's gonna have to be a little bit of give and take.
What's that?
We're gonna be put on notice, and then we're on the list to get fixed.
Have any of them ever been hydrostatically tested before? So this is the first time?
Yeah, right. I don't believe it was up for testing prior to this year. This new standard that
If you were putting a new one in, you think, I mean, you had everything going, you think they'd give you leeway? Cause I guess my thought is to spend $10,000 testing this old one. Within 2 years, we're gonna be building a new one whether we want to or not. Why not build a new one and have everything right?
Right, yeah, and that's certainly the option. I don't think they would, if we told them we were gonna put a new structure up, I don't know, in the next 6 months, would they give us leeway to it? I don't know. It's gonna be out of compliance, so it's gonna be a DEC fine, you know, it's gonna come out of their fine.
Well, maybe you could give a phone call and find out if they would.
Yeah, we should get that close to it.
I agree.
So,
If we're gonna do it anyways.
Yeah.
if I could jump in for a minute here, I think this needs to be part of our larger discussion about capital projects, because this is exactly why we have to address these issues and start having a plan, because we've been talking about this now for a while. You know, how much money do you put into a sinking ship? And like Jerry said, if we do decide to put new tanks on, is the location of those new tanks going to fit our vision for that highway campus 10 years from now? So that's why it's important that all this stuff kind of be in the context of everything else that we have going on, because you can't think about this without putting it in context of funding with our other projects that we need to do as well. So that's why it's so important that
I think it'd be nice if Warren could get a hold of DEC and get some kind of input, and then when we have our meetings,
absolutely.
we got a good
We
chance.
We already have PCNA's, everybody, all board members have PCNA's complex drawing.
Yep.
And where the tanks should go, so as long as everybody would agree that that's probably the way we want the complex, it'd be pretty simple procedure. You know, you can do it in one meeting
Well,
and take care of it.
I think they're gonna have to do some.
Yeah, cause you need the
regular
tanks
drawings.
now, you don't
Yeah.
need the buildings
Correct.
particularly right now, but that's a start on the
We wanna
process.
make sure that everything's gonna
Right.
fit the way
Fit.
we're
Yep,
looking.
exactly.
Right.
Yep. Thank you, Warren.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you all for understanding. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
No, it's our fault too, because we've had these drawings and we haven't done due diligence to them since we've had them. But after the first of the year, we're gonna have to look at a lot of stuff and make decisions and move forward. So, you're welcome.
You sure? Thank you. Moving on to the county manager report. Warren?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to report on the JCC project. We are on schedule for substantial completion at the end of this month. There are 2 items that are going to go beyond the substantial completion. That is the ceiling in the atrium in the conference room. That's a manufacturer lead item, but that will be in by our ribbon cutting ceremony. And then one of the windows in the front, the manufacturer has not kept to their timeline on that as well. But if you go up to the facility, which I'd be happy to take anyone through, you'll notice that walls are, not only sheetrock but painted, fixtures are on the walls, flooring is going in the classrooms, the concrete floors will be sealed over the holiday weekend, so they've got time to cure. The siding will be finished in the next 2 weeks. Most of the masonry that's on the lower half of the building is complete. And we are all set for a ribbon cutting ceremony on There's a good joke for you. On January 24th at 1 o'clock. So I hope that everyone can make time in their schedule for that.
Wasn't there something about you need to be there at 11?
You'll be receiving invitations that JCC's press office and marketing office is handling all that. We've sent invitations to all of our state representatives, our congressional representatives, where we haven't heard a lot about who it has RSVP'd yet, but we're trying to get everybody to hold the date. And we've got the educators coming in, the superintendents coming in. They're going to hold their monthly meeting there actually the morning of the ribbon cutting. So business folks, business leaders throughout the community are being invited. So the 24th is really going to be a big deal. We want to launch this the right way. And JCC is very committed to that as well. So I'm certainly
Thank you, Ryan.
Yep, that concludes my report.
One thing that we haven't mentioned that probably should be is, the state announced the Regional Economic Development, awards. Michelle Ledoux did attend that, ceremony. Lewis County was successful with, some of their applications. Big ones were Glenfield Water System upgrade for $750,000. Micro loan fund that we've been trying to figure out a way of funding for years now was successful for $200,000. That will be administered by the IDA. And the Nature Conservancy received $550,000 for Black River and Beaver River water protection. Is there any, Omni Filter was successful for, I think, $20,000 per project there. Am I leaving anything out, Michelle?
Those are major ones.
So that's great news for our area, Lewis County. Thanks to state for that. Patty, County Treasurer's report.
I have nothing to report, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Patty. Report of Ways and Means Committee for Rule 7, Carrie, please.
The Ways and Means Committee reports that they've examined the claims presented for payment in the total amount of $662,596.88 and recommend that they be audited and allowed for the amounts claimed.
Motion. John, second by Dick. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Close the public hearing here.
It hasn't been a half an hour. Do we need to wait?
10, 11. So we've got 5 minutes.
Okay.
5 minutes.
5-minute recess. I'll take a 5-minute recess. Close the public hearing. And is there anyone here that would like to make comments on either the building permits for commercial wings or the shared services plan between the county and towns and villages? If not, we will close those public hearings and move on to resolutions.
First resolution is auditing and allowing the claims in the total amount of $662,596.88.
Moved by Ron, second by Greg. Discussion? Roll call?
Burns?
Yes.
Chartran?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
Coulter?
Yes.
Bushos?
Yes.
Lehman?
Yes.
Howerhand?
Yes.
Osborne?
Yes.
Dahlhoff.
Yes.
You have local law introductory number 8, providing for increases to salaries for certain local officials. And then resolution 43 is to fix the public hearing on that local law for January 8th.
Moved by John, second by Jerry. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Adopting and otherwise treating local law number 4, 2018, requiring building permits for all commercial wind energy conversion systems.
Moved by Ron, second by Jerry. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
This has got to be roll call.
Whoops, sorry.
Sorry. Burns?
Yes.
Chartran?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
Coulter?
Yes.
Bushos?
Yes.
Lehman?
Yes.
Howerhand?
Yes.
Osborne?
Yes.
Dahlhoff.
Yes.
475, authorizing 5-year agreement between the county and unified court system for court cleaning and minor repairs.
Moved by Jerry, second by John. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing renewal agreements between Community Services, Mountain View Prevention, Oneida, NISARC, and Interval.
Moved by Gary, second by Andrea. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing Lewis County Community Services to enter into professional services renewal agreement with Coordinated Care Services.
Moved by John, second by Andrea. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing renewal agreement between Community Services and Fredo Community Center.
Moved by Dick, second by Andrea. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing renewal agreement between Community Services and Rubenzoll, Knudsen and Associates.
Moved by Greg, second by Andrea. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Authorizing renewal agreement between Community Services and Transitional Living Services.
Moved by Jerry, second by Andrea. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Appointing member to Community Mental Health, Developmental Disabilities and Alcohol Services Board.
Moved by Andrea, second by John. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
I apologize for putting the wrong name on 482. It's to be introduced by Thomas Osborne to appoint members to the Alcohol and Substance Abuse Subcommittee of the CSB.
Moved by Tom, second by Andrea. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Appointing Democratic Commissioner of Elections.
Moved by Dick, second by Jerry. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Appointing Republican Commissioner of Elections. Dan
Moved by
Norton.
John, second by Tom. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Appropriate funds, Transportation Department.
Moved by Jerry, second by Ron. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
To appropriate funds, Transportation Department.
Moved by Greg, second by Tom. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Resolution authorizing agreement between Lewis County and linkinglewiscounty.com.
Moved by Andrea, second by Tom. Discussion.
I don't know. I think we can negotiate that.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to correct it. It should read linkinglewiscounty.com.
I corrected it.
Okay.
Any final negotiation offer there? All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Authorizing grant disbursement agreement and acceptance of DASME grant award for the Lewis County Jefferson Community College Educational Center.
Moved by Ron, second by Randy. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Authorizing 4-year contract with Lewis Defenders.
Moved by Jerry, second by Randy. Discussion.
Have we always done this for 4 years, or is that a?
No, do you wanna explain that?
We've usually done 1-year contracts. The state indigent legal services department is now requiring each county to have a 5-year plan, and Lewis Defenders, and rightly so, I think, is not, they can't lock themselves into an annual contract and satisfy what ILS is requiring at the state to get the additional distribution grant funding. So they are committed to a 4-year agreement with us, with not any raises in the rates that we pay, and with us both agreeing to take an annual look at it in case it needs to be tweaked. So I think that's a fair compromise.
And then the state will recognize this.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything further? All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Authorizing contract with McCluskey Law Firm for conflict defender services.
Moved by Ron, second by Tom, discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I would just point out and predict, just so you know, for the conflict defenders contract, we are still only going to do annual.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing an MOU between Public Health and Fort Drum Regional Health Planning Organization.
Moved by Jerry, second by Tom, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing an agreement between Public Health and New York State Department of Health for rabies. Yes.
Moved by Tom, second by John, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Authorizing the agreement between Public Health and Benesky and Company for Diagnostic and Treatment Center.
Moved by Jerry, second by Tom, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Authorizing the agreement between Public Health and Benesky for preschool Medicaid cost report.
Moved by Tom, second by John, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Authorizing shared services plan between the county, towns, and villages in Lewis County in compliance with the state's mandated shared services property tax savings plan.
Moved by Ron, second by Tom, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
To appropriate funds, Sheriff's Department.
Moved by Jerry, second by Greg, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Appropriate funds, Sheriff's Department.
Moved by Tom, second by John, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
To appropriate funds, Sheriff's Department.
Moved by Tom, second by John, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Authorizing agreement between DSS and Community Action Planning Council of Jefferson County.
Moved by John, second by Randy, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Authorizing agreement between DSS and Children's Home of Jefferson County.
Moved by Randy, second by Tom, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Authorizing a memorandum of agreement between DSS and Credo Community Center.
Moved by Randy, second by Jerry, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Authorizing an agreement between DSS and Hillside Children's Center.
Moved by John, second by Andrea, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Authorizing an agreement between DSS and LexisNexis.
Moved by Ron, second by Jerry, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Authorizing agreement between DSS and Lewis County Opportunities.
Moved by Tom, second by John, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Authorizing agreement between DSS and Resolution Center of Jefferson, Lewis County.
Moved by Jerry, second by Randy, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
To appropriate funds, social services.
Moved by John, second by Tom, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing an agreement between county and Mountain View Prevention Services for stop DWI.
Moved by Dick, second by Tom. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Appointing member to Youth Bureau Advisory Board, Katie Zaire.
Moved by John, second by Tom. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Levying taxes and assessments for annual town budgets and corrections to tax rolls.
Moved by John, second by Randy. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Resolution to schedule a 2019 organizational meeting for January 8th at 5 p.m.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Move.
Hi, Larry.
Same to you. See ya. Moved by Tom, second by, I lost track, Randy. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Those resolutions start with number 511, authorizing modification of New Century Electric agreement to include purchase and installation of additional retrofit LED lighting.
Moved by Dick, second by Ron. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Rescind resolution 435 of 2016 and 124 of 2018 periodic increases to health insurance premiums under the Lewis County Health Insurance Plan.
Moved by Dick, second by Tom. Discussion.
What was the reason behind this? You've had enough people switch over?
No, we, based on our claims data and actuarial figures that we get on an annual basis, our fund balance has reached the $4 million goal that we were, shooting for. But if we continue to increase even the 2%, we're afraid that, based on that, our claims data, that we would overshoot the target, and that's not something that we really want. So money that goes into this fund is restricted. We can't take it out, we can't use it for anything else. So we really want to make sure that we're holding steady around 4 million. We don't want to go too much higher. So this would rescind previous policies that mandated automatic increases, and now our increases will go based on the annual report that we receive, and try to make our decisions more data-based.
Thank you.
Anything further? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Authorizing change orders and funding construction of Lewis County JCC Educational Center.
Moved by Dick, second by John. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? So rating will show opposed. And motion carries.
Authorizing amendment number 1 to the second amended and restated payment and rule tax agreement by and among the county, the affected towns and school district taxing jurisdictions, and Flat Rock Wind Power.
Moved by John, second by Greg. Discussion. Dick?
Yeah, 7 of us signed a letter supporting Fort Drum. Said that we would get Fort Drum at the table and allow for their concerns to be heard and met. I have no problem with this as it's presented, except I would like to have an amendment made to it where we say it's contingent upon the developer and Fort Drum reaching a mutual agreement on curtailment. Right now, it just says they have to meet. That's all that Fort Drum requested. No, we met with General Pyatt about 3 weeks ago and his staff, and they wanted curtailment. They need it for this project. It's the largest number of windmills on Fort Drum, on Lewis County. And they want a curtailment agreement. They have 3 of them now with the smaller projects that are planned. But as far as I'm concerned, we're letting them down if we don't encourage the contractor, the owner, to negotiate a curtailment agreement with Fort Drum. It's national defense, it's national security, and any organization in the United States should be interested in maintaining national defense.
I disagree 100%. We come to consensus our last meeting on what we wanted. Our people went and negotiated that, and I don't have a problem with it.
No problem against what's here. It just says they'll meet on curtailment.
And that's all we asked
rather
them to
than-
do.
But it was wrong. We shouldn't have asked that. And I talked to
Don't matter if
Ryan
it's wrong or
over here.
right, that's what we agreed upon last meeting.
We didn't agree to it.
Well, I don't know where you were, but
I was in the same meeting and I talked the same thing I'm talking today. They want curtailment. We agreed to support Fort Drum on
some things have been
curtailment.
there for 12 to 15 years and ain't bothered them. Now all of a sudden it's a big deal because somebody's sticking feathers in their hats down there. And it's baloney.
Well, we've got a gentleman on our committee that works on the wind committee with the FDRLO. He's got probably more knowledge than any of us sitting at this table combined will have on windmills and their effect on Doppler radar. He's done these systems, he's sold these systems, he's worked on these systems.
Yeah, the Doppler radar, Dick,
He's
is
still in
weather.
agreement, right?
It's nothing to do with the radar for Fort Drum.
No.
Fort Drum's radar is far exceeds the Doppler. And that's a proven point.
You're talking two
And if you
different
want,
things.
if you wanna talk, no, you're not talking two different, you are talking two different
Yes,
things.
you are. Okay,
The
thank
weather
you.
the weather Doppler has nowhere near the capabilities of Fort Drum's radar. Fort Drum's radar doesn't even have to have a glitch with those wind towers, and that's why they haven't said anything since the wind towers have been there. They've been there for 12 years, and Fort Drum's never mentioned them. Until Addie Russell and that group of liberals up there in Watertown, and the Watertown Daily Times gets involved in this stuff, that's when all this stuff comes up. It's not when, nothing to do with Fort Drum. They wanted 2 meetings, we got them 2 meetings. That's all we need to do. I mean, that's what they asked us to do, we did that, it's right here, and we need to push this through and get it done, because otherwise, it's gonna cause issues far exceeding what Fort Drum's looking at.
Joan, do you have any comments?
I would just say that, my recollection from when we met and discussed it is that, and we did go back to the rest of our, partners, taxing jurisdictions, as well as with the company, through our attorneys, to, indicate to them that we would insist that the developer would have to meet with Fort Drum, and they have agreed to do that. And the other thing I would say is that I don't think that we can make this an amendment to this, that the agreement is gonna be contingent upon what they resolve there, because, the pilot has to be done before that. We still have the tax assessment challenge that they brought. We have actually a scheduled conference on that in mid-January. It was anticipated that this would be resolved by now, so, that could really cause a problem. I don't see that it can be contingent upon whatever their agreement is. And the other thing I would say is that I wasn't at the meeting, Dick, but I know you were there with Larry and Ryan and Jerry, and I believe that the Fort Drum people will be able to negotiate and speak with the developers and work out what they feel they can with them as well. So we're here to facilitate it. That's what we've agreed to do, and I think that we are standing by what the county has expressed before, that we will stand behind Fort Drum, and we are doing that by this.
And I agree with what John has said, and the other people, but I'd like to comment. What I talk of being at Fort Drum, listening to them, their needs and their training schedules and what's coming up in front is changing so fast that yes, it wasn't in the problem before. But one thing I would like to ask in the future, if we're doing these again, that we talk to them first to see what actually they are gonna be doing. Because what I took of this, they're advancing so much up there that windows they weren't looking at as far as for flight windows and test windows, it's imperative they have those. So, I mean, I'm not gonna change this or anything else, but I really think in the future, and maybe we did this wrong, instead of sitting down with them and having a blunt discussion, we went ahead and went down the negotiations of that and throwing it in. So it's a little bit too late, but if we change it around, but I really do think what didn't bother them before is gonna bother them in the very near future. I got tongue twisted. I mean, have I misspoken, or did you kind of gather that the people that were there?
I would say that you're accurate in that their concern is they're okay with the wind farms that are currently in existence and currently on the table to be developed. They're worried about encroachment any further beyond the point that we are now currently talking about, including the two future projects or three future projects. The meeting that Dick is referring to that we had with the general, in my mind, my takeaway, and maybe I'm wrong, Dick, correct me if I am, but my takeaway was that that meeting was called for the Fort Drum to show a show of appreciation for what Lewis County has done to get them in the loop. We got them a seat at the Article 10 table. We have forced the wind projects to the Fort Drum to talk about curtailment, talk about the different issues that are present in the different projects. They have reduced the number of towers in one of the projects and decreased the size and the number of them in that project. So I thought that my takeaway from that meeting was that it was a show of appreciation for what Lewis County has done to mitigate the issues that Fort Drum feels that were present with the wind farms that are going forward.
My takeaway was pretty much what you said, but in addition to that, I left there with the idea and understanding that curtailment was an issue and they needed a solution to it rather than an absolute no, we're not gonna do anything.
But they were happy.
They were happy with what we've done so far.
That we got the various projects to the table to talk about curtailment. All of them agreed except one part owner of Maple Ridge in this case that is yet to have a discussion. And Joan received an email from their attorney saying that those discussions would take place. So.
And if the discussions aren't fruitful, then curtailment is not met, and curtailment is an issue for Fort Drum.
I can only say that we can't determine the outcome of that meeting. That's up to the two parties that are involved.
Actually, we're invited to the table as well, so we can be there to help push that along.
So are you offering an amendment to this resolution?
I did, yes.
Okay. Do I have a second for an amendment?
What is the amendment?
The amendment is we approve this contingent upon the successful negotiation of curtailment with Fort Drum.
And
So
I'm
it's
just
approved
going
and passed, and they go ahead and do their curtailment things, and they meet our national defense and security issues.
Do I have a second? Ron? Okay, all in favor of amending this resolution? Can we have a roll call, please, Dave?
Burns,
Yes.
Chartran,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Halter,
No.
LaChaux,
No.
Lehman,
No.
Howerhand,
No.
Osborne,
No.
Dahlhoff,
No.
Mr. Peter. 7-3.
Any further on the original resolution? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So Dick, opposed? I'm in favor. Motion carries.
Authorizing agreement with plug-in stations online in the county, two charging stations for electric vehicles.
Moved by Jerry, second by John. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing the application to New York State Department of Ag and Markets for grant in the development of county ag and farmland protection.
Moved by Ron, second by Jerry. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing modification agreement between Sheriff's Department and Black Creek Integrated Systems Corporation.
Moved by Jerry, second by John. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
To amend, adopt the standing rules of the Board of Legislators of Lewis County. To primarily change the committee structure. And
Moved
that,
by,
no, it's just to be presented at this meeting for information purposes, and according to the standing rules, there would be no vote until the next meeting.
oh good, I think we're sick of voting.
So it's for information purposes, it will be presented at the next meeting for a vote.
Can we have a discussion on it?
Can we have a discussion? Sure.
Okay. There's a lot of stuff here to digest, and some of us met yesterday and talked a little bit about why don't we implement this for 6 months for a trial basis so we understand what it all means, because I think some of this is really difficult to understand all the implications of it. So when we get ready for this, I would like to propose that when it comes back for a vote, somewhere in there it's included that it would be a 6-month trial visit, work out the bugs and see how it goes.
I'm fine with that. In fact, we had already, we believe that we're sort of in a gray area, unknown area, and that it would be a trial basis and tweak it as we go along. I don't have any problem with making it a 6-month trial period, if that's okay as well.
Sure, and certainly you can amend the standing rules from time to time anyway, so I think that's a wise thing to do.
I have a couple of questions today. As far as the quorum, with you there and 5 other legislators, you're gonna have 6.
He's not a voting member.
Yeah, but he's still there.
He's not a voting member.
So he doesn't, we don't have to have an open public notice of these meetings?
Oh, we do that now.
Because we don't normally have, committee meetings aren't public notice, are they?
Yes, they are.
In the newspaper?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That was one of my questions.
yeah.
And and I've looked at this, I looked at this last night and just tried to digest this. You're starting the meeting, the first one, General Services, at 2 o'clock. And without counting weights and measures and public defender, because those really are never gonna be there anyway. But the other ones are possibilities of being there. If all of them needed to be there, it'd be 11. And I calculated 15 minutes minimum for each one, because as you know, if Mr. Attorney is there, that could be half an hour. Because it's just on and on. Okay, so if you gave them 15 minutes each, that's 2 hours and 45 minutes. So that puts you to 5 o'clock, might as well say, have a 15-minute break. So then you start the next one. This is just so everybody realizes the time frame that we're talking about, that they're gonna be here at this office. You know, I thought this was like gonna try to save us time a little bit. But it's all congested in one day. So then you're there, you have 8 at this next one. It gives you, you have 7 at the next one. At 15 minutes each, gives you an hour and 45. That puts you to almost 7 o'clock. Okay. Then the next one you have 8. That gives you 2 hours. It puts you to 9. So everybody's gonna have to realize that they're gonna be possibility of being here from 2 p.m. until 9 p.m. And that's if there's not, you know, an abundant discussions that could very well happen, because we all know that happens in committee.
But it could start earlier. Why 2 p.m.? What happens when we come in at 8:30?
I'm just going by, what, this whole thing was brought about to try to make it so that a working person, like Randy, at the time myself, until that stopped, John, right? You know, to try to get more people interested in possibly running for a position on this board that actually have a job outside of this. You know, but if you started it earlier, you're going right back the other way again. You know, so I just wonder if maybe they should put them on 3 different days even,
And I don't
later.
I don't mean to be negative, but what I kind of like about it, I'm giving up one of my days, not 3
Right.
of my days. And
Right.
the thing is, when you run for these, you know we try to do it. And if it's adamant they want the afternoon, then you put them on the committee this afternoon. But one thing that I can see that we haven't done, and I think it helps everybody, is that if you're willing to take that day off, you can sit and see everything that's going on in every committee.
Absolutely.
And not necessarily chime in, because it's the committee that's being there. We're spectators. But the thing is you get the pulse of what's happening here. And the
Right.
way we're at now, I don't mean to be negative, but we really don't get the pulse of what's happening. And I don't know, it makes, for me, to hear it from the horse instead of see it in print. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with print, but it's just, you get the thing. I mean, you don't get if there's a hard discussion in it and they're going back and forth and making hard decisions.
I agree totally.
So, I
I'm
mean,
fine with
there's
showing
a-
up for 9 hours. I don't have a problem with
I
that.
think
There are people that will.
Well, if they, once their committee's done, it's their privilege.
They're
to
on
leave.
2.
Well, once they're done, so you're there.
Well, you could be on the committee number 1, and then you could be on committee number 3 of the way this is set up, so you could be here at 2 till 5, and then not have to be back until 7 o'clock, and then you're gonna be here till 9.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Mr. Chairman, can I jump in for a moment here?
Sure.
Please. So, I totally understand the concern that Greg's bringing up.
Oh, I'm not concerned.
No. Well,
I'm just bringing up
Yeah.
facts that I noticed in this whole scenario, right?
So, yeah.
That you drew up, I believe, right?
Well, Larry and I work together, yes.
Okay.
So what I want to explain to the board is that you're right, this isn't gonna work if we plan on having 2 hours, 45-minute committee meetings. If we expect every department to report every month, this isn't gonna work. What we need to, in order for this to work, is to understand that the only times that departments are gonna come before the committee is if they have business before the committee that requires board action. Other than that, we will have department heads come before the committee when they have information to share. They want to give a report on a specific program, or they want to give a quarterly report on their budget or other things. We're not going to have every department every month come up and spend 15 minutes each.
I think that's wrong.
disagree. I disagree with that thought process, Ryan, because I think the legislators need to know what's going on with each department. We still need to be,
In the loop.
the constituents that we work for still want us to know what's going on.
Sure.
I mean, if we don't know what's going on and they ask us a question, what am I gonna say? Well, you know, he didn't show up that we don't require him to show up anymore, so they don't show up for like 6 months. So how's that look to our constituents, that we don't know what's going on in these departments?
Well, depending on but I mean, if it's a big issue, of course, we're gonna have them, report. But let's take, for example, probation and emergency management. I don't see any reason why those smaller sized departments can't come quarterly and report their business, and when they have business.
You're talking probation, the big ticket item there was the raise the age, and that's been a big ticket item. You know, we're trying to find out how much possibly this could cost us. So that's not an issue?
It absolutely is an issue, but I would rather have.
But we only wanna hear about it quarterly. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is the way this would be set up is that we would provide opportunity for the probation department to give a thorough PowerPoint presentation to everybody about raising, and obviously track that on a regular basis. But to have them come every month and give a little spiel about what they've been up to is the reason why we have so many committees and it takes so much time now.
I think that's something the legislators need to hear.
John, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Greg. I think what you need to do is, everybody's either gonna be on committee 1 and 2, or they're gonna be on committee 2 and 3. So you ain't gonna be here for 1 and 3.
How do you know?
And that's what I'm just saying. You set it up the way they are. What do you mean, how do you know? That's how you set it up. What is there no? But I agree, you need to have every committee there, every month.
I think
agree
we're,
with
I
that.
think we're losing, the concept here that this is a trial basis.
Yeah.
We can do this for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. If we don't like it after 3 months, we can go back to the original format that we had. We can do whatever we want. This change was to address the issues that all the legislators didn't feel that they were in the loop on what was going on. This gets everyone in the room at the same time, so that they, if they so choose, they can participate, or they can at least listen to the discussion. The second issue was that working legislators, as you say, don't have the flexibility of making the committee meetings as they are now structured. So this was to address that. The reason why we pushed it back to 2 o'clock was to address your concern that if we started at 5 o'clock, we'd be here till 2 o'clock in the morning. So it does push it back for 1 day a month, back to 2 o'clock. At this point, we are down to 2 working members. I'm not counting John because he works a schedule that he works till 1 o'clock, and that's why we can start until he's done working. So hopefully we can make this work for the 2 people that are actively employed and try to get it done on 1 day. Otherwise, we split it into 2 days. We're back to 3 days a month, and instead of 2 days, that's the goal. So, it may not work. I understand that completely. But my thought is to try it and tweak it, and we can always go back to this format if it doesn't work.
One quick comment is the chairman of these committees need to take control of the meeting, because I've noticed it can get out of control pretty quick. You need to keep it on course, on task, and you can get these meetings done usually in an hour to an hour and a half. Not 2.5. My opinion.
One thought I had was we could move codes from general services to finance and rules, to sort of balance them out. We can do whatever we
You
want
want to move economic development out.
What's that?
Economic development out of jurisdictional oversight, of the general services. Put that with a different one. Because that could be a lengthy discussion. I mean, you take Parks and Rec with it. Planning. Those 3, you put it in with a different one. Put it in with finance and rules.
It really doesn't fit there, so. We can, let's try it with a format that's here for a trial, and if we deem that we need to make that change, we can do it.
I do have one question on a different subject before we close. So you're done with
Are
this.
you done with this discussion now, before Jerry wants to move on to something else? Go ahead.
We, in Courts and Law Committee, we had a discussion, and I thought we were gonna have a resolution here, but maybe it's gonna close out at the end of the year. We've had a shortfall in the Sheriff's Department, with additional $70,000 in overtime. And there were some other expenses which, they weren't planned, like jail lots and stuff like this. And what was housing the people when we swapped over controls. Those, as far as I'm concerned, are on-scene expenses that the sheriff had no control over. We need to do it. So, and correct me if I'm wrong in my figures, it was roughly $60,000 for the locks and housing the prisoners out when we changed that over. But one of the concerns I have, we put a budget together, and when you get over $70,000 of overtime spent over what was appropriated, we need to work on closing that up, because that had a lot year after year. So just wanted to make everybody aware of it, and we'll have further discussions on it. So, how are we gonna close that out? Not a resolution at the end of the year?
At the beginning of the month, the board passed a resolution giving the treasurer authority to balance all accounts at the end of the year. With that authority, she can balance out the line items for the sheriff.
Can we have those figures when they're done for the full
Yes,
committee
yes.
next month? Thank you, that's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
One of the thoughts was to have the sheriff make a quarterly presentation on where they're at budget-wise, so that, we can sort of help him control his costs, so that, when we get to the end of the year, he doesn't have to lay somebody off, to keep, the sheriff's department in budget, so.
The problem is that this started in May and didn't curtail it. And we're here now. We have no damn choice, because we've already paid.
And we're trying to prevent that.
Prevent that from happening again, you know. I hate to say this, you got a bean counter, there's no way in hell you should be at that position. As far as keep spending with overtime. So essentially, you budgeted $30,000, and it maybe not the exact figure, and he spent $100,000. That's a little bit excessive.
Yes, thank you.
Agreed.
And I don't think, you know, the taxpayers charge us with putting the budget together. And when we put that budget together, everybody else in the county, occasionally they have trouble, stays within that budget. If they exceed the line, they transfer stuff out of the other and put it back, and they quit spending, they slow down. This is just like, you know, and I don't think we ought to put these budgets together for the taxpayers and trying to be reasonable and give people enough to do their jobs and exceed it in these quantities. It's just me.
I think we have a consensus on that. We're trying to come up with a plan so that it doesn't happen again.
Thank you.
Any other comment?
Go ahead.
I would just like to say, quite a few of the people appreciate the Christmas tree that is out in front of this courthouse. It looks very nice, had a lot of comments on it, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anything else? Motion to adjourn? Ron, second? Tom, all in favor? Aye. We're adjourned.